And we're live. Hello to our 0 people watching.
Hey, 0 people. You're the best.
All right. There's no announcements, all right?
Perfect.
Settled. I
Um,
guess you didn't really need to talk this whole time.
that was fair. We have a big Blair or on what? It was just that door open.
Let me open the door.
It was
Got
like
2 people on watching. Let's see. It's not quite 4. A minute. Mm-hmm. 3 people on. 4 people on.
should we start just like that?
Sure.
This is like super classy. The whole it's out of focus.
Focus just a little bit. So not quite 4 yet. Good people, couple minutes to sign on. Wonder how many people watching are people in the offices right now.
Hi, Laura.
Hi, Laura. Hi, Toby. Oh,
Toby's
we
not watching.
lost a follower after
Maybe
shouting out our
At least somebody's
coworkers.
like 3 out. You're like, no way.
This is not what I signed up for.
The key to the wine is all the weed.
Okay,
No.
heard it here, folks. Heard it here first. Oh,
Okay,
wow.
it's not.
No.
Never.
Nope. It's not allowed.
I stole this from Meg this morning. Wait,
Is it?
no,
Who is it?
it's YouTube.
Oh, it's YouTube. Oh, it's old.
Old stuff. Old YouTube.
OG YouTube.
Yeah, this is YouTube from 1980.
Yeah. Back when Bono was a
Their songs and those are.
wee lad. We've got 9 people watching. Yeah, it's exactly 4 o'clock, so we'll let things fill up a little bit.
Really? Where should we go?
We could go.
Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in. It's been a while since we gathered with everybody.
Yeah, it was in September.
Yeah, it's crazy. I can't believe we've been doing these now for 11 months or something.
I know.
Missing you at the winery. Super good to get to virtually see all of you, and we're very excited. We've got a brand new wine today that we've never tasted with anyone.
Yeah.
So,
Brand new wine.
but cool news is the tasting room is open for outdoor stuff, and we're hearing that Napa's going to be in the red zone in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, fingers crossed, we could be welcoming people back to indoor tasting too soon. We have an awesome tent also, so some fun new tasting spaces to come and enjoy. And it's in this last year, which has been, crazy for so many. We've been very fortunate. We get to farm and make wine out in the countryside. So life continues up here in Napa. And a lot of you have virtually had us in part of your lives, and we really sincerely appreciate that. And are thankful.
We should do on the anniversary of our first virtual tasting, we'll do a retrospective taste all the wines that we.
Really?
I think we should.
Oh man, that does sound like fun. We tasted some fantastic
See
wines.
how long
last
our
year.
hair has grown since then.
Okay.
I haven't gotten a haircut.
Are you serious?
Since pre-COVID.
Wow, that's
probably.
awesome.
Except a homemade haircut this
Really?
summer, which
Did you do it yourself or your friend or?
Stuart did.
Yeah, nice. Well, hey, great job, Stu.
I don't think he's watching.
What? He's not watching?
Let's see, Chris Sellers, Chris and Pam from Redondo Beach are here. Hi, Chris and Pam. Thanks for joining us. If you guys want to hop in the live chat, usually we have Tom moderating the chat in the chat box. Tom is working from home today, so it's just the 2 of us. So we will see all comments. So be careful what you say, because we'll be watching this. So if we're slow to respond to your questions, that's why we're trying to multitask. Let's see, Vic and Deb are from Peoria, Illinois. Did I say that right? Peoria?
Yeah.
Peoria. Hi, John Frederick. Thank you guys for joining in. So, all right, Peter, what do we have? Turn on the music.
Let's.
Our little intro music is.
There we go. So we have opened up the 2018 analogy. I don't know if you can see that or not. If that's in focus. There we go.
There you go.
Looks backwards to me. Maybe it does to you too. But this is what we're drinking, tasting, enjoying. The 2018 vintage is a spectacular vintage. I'm sure you're reading a lot about how strong Napa Valley did in 2018 and 19. We're excited about the vintage. This is I think the first red wine out of the vintage outside of our Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon.
That's correct.
So it's really, it's fun. In 2018, we made this wine. It's a blend of Merlot, Cabernet Franc, and Malbec. And it's a blend that we haven't previously offered or made. In other years, we'll create a standalone Merlot or a standalone Cab Franc. In 2018, I felt that the exciting wine was the combination of the two of them. The fruitfulness of the Merlot with the tension of the Cab Franc comes together here in a really exciting composition. And the little dollop of Malbec brings in fruit power to the aromatics and fills out the mid palate and there's a little base note in the finish. So kind of exciting. Carrie and I opened this bottle about an hour ago. It's a youthful wine, right? The wine is a 2018, so it's just getting going. So if you've opened one and you just splash it in your glass, it might be a little tight. You want to give your glass a good swirl or decant the wine real quickly, glass to another glass, or give some air, and you'll get more out of the wine. Or just enjoy the glass over the next hour or 3, and you'll have fun that way too.
And I'll just say hi. We're getting lots of hellos from everyone. So hello, Jason and Marilena. Hello, Curtis and Jill in Minneapolis. Hey, Dana in the tasting room.
What?
I see her.
Dana in the tasting room. Dana's birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday, Dana.
Happy birthday. And Kurt's birthday and Emmanuel's birthday.
Yeah, so
big birthday week for
Team Turnbull.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what happens.
Yeah, so I don't know. We've got multiple birthday kids right now on the team, so that's fun.
Cheers to everyone.
Yeah, and Karen and I get to celebrate with you guys with a glass of wine, so it's a nice way to wrap up our Pacific time day here.
Happy was it Friday Eve?
Is it?
Thursday.
I think it's Thursday. Anyways, it's an exciting wine in that the different pieces harmonize together so beautifully. It's so dark and unctuous, and at the same time lifted and fresh. I think it's really exciting.
That's a cool wine.
Yeah,
especially because for those familiar, we do have another blend called Bon Vivant, which is, I don't want to compare because they are just different wines.
Totally different wines.
I wouldn't even call it an alter ego, but just another fun blend that we have here. That's kind of, I think, a nice thing that you do, Peter, and you're really great at is highlighting the best of the varietals that don't often get the spotlight. So right here we get Malbec, Merlot,
Cab Franc.
And Cab Franc, that's right.
Yeah.
I have the breakdown right in front of me. Yes, we have, you can read that, 60% from the Leopoldina vineyard, 40% from the Fortuna vineyard, so it's an Oakville designated blend, 30% Cab Franc, 30% Merlot, 40% Malbec.
Wow.
Yeah, check it out.
We're working on the 2019 blends in the cellar, and we've just tucked all the 2020s away, and so it's really fun to get to go back and taste the hard work that we put in a couple years ago with this wine, and it's so refreshing. I've been tasting 19s all day, so it's the refreshment of a fully ready 18 is fun. It has all that beautiful bottle bouquet and that whitening that happens after bottling. So the wine has a lot of lift and drive, and it has a lot of fruit density.
Yeah, so let's get into it. And hopefully everyone's got some in their glass.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Aromatically, I just love the dark berries are just pouring out of the glass. You've got
I can really smell that from across the room.
Dusted blackberries and there's red and dark cassis. Some plum characteristics that are exciting.
There's some herbal tones to it too, almost some savory.
Yeah, there's some notes that are pencil shavings and darkened brioche, some roasted almonds. So there's some really nice little French oak barrel notes there that are complexing and filling out the base of the wine, but creating a bowl that the fruit is just popping out of the top of.
It's a good wine.
I love it when they taste good.
I know, that's
It's always
see.
Wouldn't it be a bummer
Got
if you make a wine
elegant and
that's
bold
like
and
terrible?
grape Jolly Rancher.
Yeah, it does have like a fruitfulness and like a kind of candy core. There's some cola aspect to it, like a, not in a bad way, but like a little Dr. Pepper spice
Yeah, a little
and
like
sweet.
zing almost.
Yeah, the wine's totally dry though. There's it's not sweet, but the amount of fresh, the dusted boysenberries and that, I think, which is like bringing that fresh acid lift and driving focus while still having a lot of width, is exciting.
Yeah. So maybe, I've known about analogy for a while, but worked it for a while, but I think for some people this is kind of an exciting new, we've never had analogy before. So do you want to maybe go into a little bit about the story of analogy or where the name comes from or?
Yeah, well, I don't know, I get like many of you have come to the winery and tasted, and I've gotten to meet and enjoy time with lots of you, and it turns out, the storyteller sometimes doesn't know the story they tell, but apparently I use a couple of analogies from time to time. I don't know.
If you've ever read a tasting note of ours, you'll see
and so
lots of analogies.
it's actually kind of interesting. I just my cellar team, Chewy and mine, Manuel's birthday today. We spent the last couple of hours tasting through barrels of the 2019 Cabernet from our Amenes vineyard that are destined to be in our Napa Valley Cab, and talking about the differences about those, and it's and understanding what different barrels bring. And I was trying to kind of instruct. They're master winemakers. They've been making wine for 20 years, and they physically and with their hearts making wine. And I've probably done a little bit of a bad job on not getting them involved in all the fun steps. And one of the fun steps is selecting barrel by barrel, which is what we do every year as a total team. And so this year we're going to do that. Every single barrel is going to be tasted by every single one of us.
That's awesome.
On the production floor to see where they land. And so I'm kind of excited about that. It'll be good learning for me and for them. And but I was trying to instruct how that works, what I see, what they see, and taste. And so we're using a lot of analogies to describe why is this wine, why is that one like a ballerina and why is that one like a linebacker? What do these different feelings that wines create? And the best way to express that, I find, is by using analogies. So it's really how I experience wine, and a lot of people do.
And how long is this? I know we've had the name, on our wines for a while, but what made 2018? I think Curtis asked us what about the
why this year?
Yeah.
I think you've probably heard the story before, but one of the wonderful things about Turnbull, and as members of Turnbull or fans of Turnbull, one of the things that you expect and deserve is that the wines over deliver. So when I'm making wine for you, my goal is to make a wine that wins. It should over deliver. So buying wine can be a little bit like Russian roulette. I also buy wine, and I have bought wines that were expensive that I poured down the drain. And I can't remember the time I bought a bottle of tequila or whiskey or gin, and I lost. You know what it costs, and it's going to be fine enough. Some are better than others, but you don't ever totally lose and throw it down the drain, or lose so badly that you wish you hadn't bought it. And wine is not that way at all. I've bought lots of wine that I found to be completely ruinous. And I feel like Turnbull's wine should never be that, ever. That should never happen. And better yet, our members and fans should win. The wine should over deliver. So I literally, when I'm tasting through individual barrels or tasting through our blends, I believe that I'm buying the wine at retail price, not even membership price, but the most expensive price I could pay for the wine, and I bring it home to my beautiful bride, and
Meg's not happy.
And Meg's not happy, and I'm sleeping on the couch, and then I know, and Meg knows a thing or two about wine, and so if if I don't think it passes that test, then we should bottle it.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's not a win. And so the Eternal wines are they're wonderful wines, but by Napa Valley standards, they're actually inexpensive. Sort of ridiculous because they are, I think, in the world of wines.
Yeah.
Napa Valley wines are very expensive. If you've come to Napa Valley to find wines, they are going to be expensive. And so the thanks, Carrie. It's tough.
Eye contact thing is tough when we don't have Tom.
Yeah.
We're looking at everyone's comments.
They're just like looking up in space. I feel a little bit like Draymond Green, like talking on the phone or something in the game. So I guess I think that the wines should over deliver, and that in 2018, the process works a little bit like this. Tasting room and club membership says, look at we need this much. We need 300 cases of Merlot, and I say, it's not there. I do not have the 12 barrels of Merlot that I think are commensurate with a winning move for our members. When people come into the tasting room and they buy that wine, I can't guarantee that they're going to win when they bring the bottle home. Mm-hmm. And so then I'd say I can't make that wine. And so in 2018, we had a lovely Merlot and a lovely Cab Franc. The Merlot was like so fruitful and beautiful with fruit, but it was like somewhat missing a note in terms of texturial stridency, like its verve, let's say. And the Cab Franc was all about this stride and texture and drive. Had a lot of textural elements and herbal notes, but it didn't have a fruit tone to go with all that backbone. And so the two wines by themselves, I didn't, they were fine. They were good wines, and if we were selling $85 Merlot and Cab Franc, then I'd be like, those are wins. Mm-hmm. And then you could buy those wines, and even better as a member, you'd kill it.
Yeah.
And you bring the wines home, you'd be a hero or a heroess. But I feel like at the price that the wine was going to go out, I just wasn't comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. In tasting 2 barrels in the cellar, I found that the combination of the two, like, you put your chocolate in my peanut butter. Yeah. You put your peanut butter in my chocolate. That old Reese's peanut butter cup. Yeah. The combination of the two things is spectacular. Mm-hmm. And a little dollop of Malbec did just the magic to bind everything together. And so with that in mind, then I said, I think this is a great wine that's exciting and it's fun, but it's neither Merlot nor Cab Franc. Yeah. So what do we call it? And it turned out that Turnbull, smartly had the name analogy just sitting in the wings, and so we applied it here. In 2019, we're making a Cab Franc and a Merlot. They're separate wines. Yeah. And we won't be making an analogy. So this is like your one chance. Yeah. To get to see the two together. I mean, I guess you could buy a bottle of our Franc and our Merlot from 2017 or 2019. Blend them together at home and see what the analogy would shake out as in your own glass. Mm-hmm. But this is the best of the Merlot and the best of the Cab Franc, artfully dolloped together to make this wine. Yeah. So will this be the only year we make analogy, or do you think? I don't know. I you hate to ever say never. Never say never. Never say never. Yeah. I mean, you never know what Mother Nature will bring us. I think one thing that we can see is that it's best to be flexible in life. This year has caused a lot of people to reflect on the choices they make and what they do and what's important to them and what's not that important. Mm-hmm. And in winemaking, we evolve and change too. I think it's nice when we can highlight the variety separately, but in vintages where that doesn't happen, due to weather or due to my winemaking prowess or lack thereof or what have you, it's nice to have an opportunity to make other wines that over deliver. Yeah. So to be continued, I guess. Yeah, right now working on the 19s, and I'm really excited about the Cab Franc and the Merlot as separate wines. Mm-hmm. In 2020, the Cab Franc is in our delicious rosé. Carrie and I just wrote the tasting note on the new rosé, and it's really good. I think it's fantastic. It's our best rosé ever. I think a lot of you are fans, and I think the new rosé hits the tasting room in April, May. May. Yeah.
We don't give specific dates.
Oh.
We like to keep
Keep it secret.
keep it secret, but that'll be in May. Josephine will be in March.
Really?
Yep.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Carrie and I just had the pleasure of tasting the new 2020 Josephine and the 2020 Rosé Cab Franc. Both super special wines. I think the best issuances of either one of those wines in our brief history, and in the last 10 years or whatever. And so they're both special and goosebump driving and all that good stuff.
And between the Rosé and Josephine release, I'm just thinking there's the 2017 Cab Franc release. So.
Ooh. Oh, the 27 Cab Franc.
Exciting.
Yeah, I mean part of my part of how we have a 2018 analogy is of the 2017. You know, when we evaluate things, of course we don't evaluate things in a negative field. You see them in context with other things. And the 2017 Cab Franc, which Harry's just teasing, I really think the 2017 Cab Franc is one of the wines of the 17 vintage for us. I mean, the Black Label, was that the 100 points score Black Label?
It was 100 point, yeah.
The Cab Franc's a better wine. No offense to
Yeah.
all the awesome people that support us and love the Black Label.
Mhm.
But I kid you not, I thought the wine of the 17 vintage for me was probably the Cab Franc, the Fortuna Cab, the Leopoldina Cab, the Ophel Reserve. And then I'd probably put the Black Label in fifth place after those.
That's all right. I mean,
Yeah, so which is a spectacular one too. But and then there's the Nose Cab. I don't know. We had a very, very strong 17 vintage.
Mhm.
But the Cab Franc is is near the spear point of the vintage for me. In my heart, like what we did with that vintage, it's one of the best wines of the year. And we made just a thimble of it. I mean, I think it was 6 puncheons or 12 barrels or something like that.
There'll probably be an allocation on it.
Yeah. You can check my math, the back label. If you're lucky enough to get a bottle of it, the back label will tell you how many barrels were made, and then you can like text me or email me and make fun of that. I have no idea how many barrels of that we made.
Yeah.
But it's a special one, so look for that. Don't sleep on that one.
Yes, the Cab Franc will be in April.
April,
So
but you're not
Josephine-
telling us the date.
We don't share the dates.
Wow.
We might tease it a little bit a few days before, but it's part of the fun of it.
Carrie, people are gonna be stalking you in the parking lot. It's gonna be creepy.
Well, they can have a tasting while they're here.
You should just tell them you don't know. You also don't know.
I don't know anything.
See, there you go. That's not true.
Show up to work and
Clearly.
because we've got a release.
Yeah.
So yes, Josephine in March, Cab Franc in April, Rosé with Cab Franc in May.
Yeah.
It's a big summer or big spring to look forward to. Summer will be something else.
Yeah.
Don't want to give it all away.
Don't give it all away. We were like admiring our awesome tent out on the front,
Mm-hmm.
garden area, and thinking how beautiful that could be for a late fall evening soiree. So
Hopefully,
we'll see what happens.
we're discussing ways to maybe do events, but in a smaller way, a safer way. Unfortunately, I think the way we did them before it'll be a long time before we do that again, but we'll see. We'll see. But so for the analogy, do you have any favorite analogies that we all have at the wine? We all have our favorite Peter analogies.
Really? What?
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, my first. But what happens is it bleeds out. So everyone starts making analogies when they talk about wine. So when I first started working here, the tasting manager at the time used to refer to wines in James Bond character terms. So at the time,
I've heard this one before. It's horrible.
yes, well, I won't go into that full story, but there was a cab that was the James Bond cab. I think it was the 2013 Fortuna.
Really?
Yes, because it was,
It killed you?
it just kill you. But there's a charm and it was sexy, it was elegant, kind of old school.
Yeah.
That was the 2013 Fortuna. It was a James Bond cab, and that was the first time I had heard an analogy for wine use, and I was thinking, this is actually an easy way to talk about wine. But you do a nice job talking about when we talk about our barrel program, how we use barrels and what the role of the barrel is in the winemaking process and how it contributes to the overall tasting profile. And you describe it as like it's like the rock concert. You notice if it wasn't, if the sound and light show was a part of it, because it wouldn't be a rock concert without the sound and light show. So I like those. I'm trying to think of other analogies that I think everyone now just goes off and freestyles their own analogies.
That's perfect.
Do you have an analogy for this wine?
I haven't really, I haven't thought about an analogy for this wine. I guess, I like the name in concert with this wine because we've taken different pieces of information or different wines and folded them together to make something else. And so to me, that feels like in fitting with this whole theme of reflections on different things and then showing something else in that light. So I guess I think that's the fascinating bit of it and how the name to me works with this. I like the idea of the darkness of this wine, the plumpness, the fruit opulence, but then inside the wine, the Cab Franc is thrusting along. I mean, you can feel the tension and the movement of the Cab Franc inside this Merlot and Malbec coating, let's say, that makes it all so sleek and harmonious and fruitful and wide. And inside, there's a bandsaw of Cab Franc, like ripping right through it, and then shattering off like herbs. And so it's kind of, I guess I think like you'll know it when you taste it. And I think the wine is both so easy and so pleasing. I mean, you can take the whole bottle down. It's ridiculous, but at the same time, it's also there's so much to think about inside it, and that is kind of like the analogy. The good analogy is something that's so palatable and easy that anyone can grasp it, but it has some meaning that can be transformative. So
in a way, the analogy is what you make it to be.
Yeah.
That we put that in that.
Yeah, I think you put that in that.
I think we put that
in
the tasting.
So that's the wine of the day.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some questions coming in, so I don't want to.
Really?
Yes, this.
I hope they're easy.
You're gonna.
Really tough ones? You're picking the hard ones?
So let's see. Is there any 2017 Cab Franc available? That will be available in April. It is really opening up. That would be great, John. Let's see. Would you consider cellaring this wine?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, all our wines, unfortunately, and thanks to you, we release wines before their time, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have anything on the table, and we'd be doing a video, and you wouldn't be there because we wouldn't have shipped any wine this year because we'd be out of wine because we'd be waiting 5 years before the wines were like fully ready. And so as wines age, the delicate esters of fruit, which are delicate, they kind of vaporize and tannins and textures smooth and round. And so I like fruit density. If you like our wines, then you probably like fruit density too. The wines have opulence and power, and the primary tones of the summer and of Oakville, of the Napa Valley. We have sunlight in California. It makes fruit that tastes like fruit, which is good, and we encapsulate that in a bottle. When the wines are young, they can be so richly textured that they can be, the power of the wine can make it hard to see the purity of the fruit. And so a couple of years of bottle aging in general, I think, helps calm the tannin structure enough so that the purity of the fruit sings a little bit clearer. My idea of that is like 5 to 10 years past the vintage date. So this is 2018. So this will kind of get into its purity in 2023, which is 2 years from now. And it'll hang out there till 2028. And then after that time, the fruit power and potency and purity will diminish, and bottle aging and different smoothness and less fruitfulness, but more like nutty, leathery tones will develop. I like fruit. Like if you offered me a little green basket full of like raspberries and strawberries and boysenberries and blackberries, and one with like strips of leather and tobacco in them, I'm taking the berries every time.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And so I guess I like younger wines rather than older wines.
Mhm.
And I think so. But these wines are young, and if any of you have them in 10 years from now, I'd be surprised because they're so delicious and awesome that you'll have no problem drinking them in the next 10 years. But you don't need to be worried about drinking them tomorrow. You could, But if you want to have some 10 years from now, you'll need to get some. Because
hopefully it's not sold out.
Ideally, obviously we make too many different wines, and there's a number of there's hundreds, thousands of great wineries around the world that make amazing wines. All of them should be at your purview. But if you find a wine that excites you, the idea would be buy a case of that wine and then drink one the first year, and then drink two the second year, and three the third year, and then then lose three of them in the back of your cellar, and then pepper the next couple in through the next couple of years. And you'll have some delightful or disappointing surprises 10 or 20 years from now when you find those lost bottles. But you'll drink the lion's part of that case in the next, in the first decade.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way, that's kind of the way to do it, is to find the magic gems.
Yeah.
And the wines at Turnbull, I think, are reasonably in constellation of magic gems, and the idea would be that every wine that we make is worthy of being a magic gem in your cellar. So this one's no different than, in a good way, than the other wines that we make, in that it is worthy of both longevity and immediate enjoyment.
Do you know the percentage of new versus neutral?
Oh, the Cooper's question. Yeah,
French oak?
No idea. In general, our cellar is about 1/3 new French oak, 1/3 second turn French oak, and 1/3 third turn French oak. And as I've gotten even more comfortable with our vineyards and gotten to be a more experienced winemaker, I would say we're transitioning into having a fourth turn oak barrel in the cellar. So we'll eventually be about 25% new. 25% first, second, and third turn barrels. And a lot of wineries will tell you that 100% new is the best. And there are even wineries that market 200% new. They'll take a wine, put it in a new barrel, and then take it out of the new barrel and put it in another new barrel. And what they're doing is they're covering over having lame fruit. So the French oak barrels that we use are amazing. They're an important part of the wines. But if you have exceptional fruit, and Turnbull has some of the world's best vineyards, those places, the whole point of wine is about place and time. And although our Cooper partners work with amazing forests, and they have real artisan craftsmen that are making barrels and hand toasting them, and that. It's a whole story in and of itself, and the partnership of that is very important. At the same time, it's important that the barrel is hidden, and it's all about the fruit. Today, my cellar team and I were tasting through one of the lots from our Meadows vineyard that is going to be at the lower end of the Napa Valley Cabernet. It is the press wine from the Meadows vineyard from 2019. I have no hope that any of the barrels from that set will become, into the Meadows blend. And since it's in Calistoga, they can't be in any of our other wines that are all from Oakville. Right. So it's got two goals, and those barrels, there's so many awesome barrels that are going to be in the Meadows blend that these ones are clearly going to be either castigated or in the Napa Valley blend. And there's brand new French oak barrels in that lot, and they're in there because that lot needs a brand new French oak barrel. Because the underlying wine needs help. Yeah. Right? Whereas if you have a fantastic wine, it doesn't need any help. It's a natural beauty. It does not need any makeup or, it does it all on its own. Yeah. So the second term barrel is perfect. So
fine winemaking is all about knowing those lots more than.
Yeah, if you had a beautiful piece of ahi or something like that, fresh off the boat, what do you need? A really sharp knife. Just to make sashimi. You don't need to blacken it and grill it or throw it in a fish stew. because the ingredient is so gorgeous in itself, right? But if you have like a 3-day-old piece of fish at a Safeway or something, no offense to Safeway, or like Kroger, I don't know, like if you went somewhere and they don't like, the fish came out of a freezer somewhere 2 months ago and it's defrosted and it's like not exactly, you're not making sashimi out of that. You're gonna like, you're blackening that fish, you're barbecuing it, you're making tacos with it, breading or something, right? And so if you have something that's like less than perfect, you need to like, you make it. And really great wine isn't made, it like you allow it. And so like this wine, I can't tell you what I have no idea what the end composition of new barrel versus old barrel is. Because the wine itself didn't need it. It is actually our lesser wines that get most of the new barrels, and it is our upper wines that get fewer new barrels because they don't need it. The only way to get seasoned barrels is to start with new ones up, and so it is. We are we're in what is that? We're in debt to the wines that take on the new barrels, so that we have the second term barrels that don't have somebody else's cooties. That we're allowed to fill our great wines into, and they show the finesse of the vineyard.
Yeah. Just looking at some of these questions. So 17, was that a vintage that gave us a high yield for Cab Franc? Or was it, if you can remember, just 17?
The 17 vintage was a low yielding year. The 17 vintage is remembered for two things. At the end of the season, what most people think about the 17 vintage was that there were fires. There was a fire. There were fires all around Napa Valley, but it was in the last like 2% of the vintage. So it really had no impact on the fruit picking or the eventual wines.
Right.
It seemed really scary at the time, but in retrospect, that wasn't much of a story. It did burn down some signature wineries, Signorello. Burned.
Vintage, I think.
Yeah, and so there were certainly wineries that took it harder than others. Our Meadows vineyard, the Wildlands, 100 acres of amazing oaks and pines around the vineyard burned, and our vineyard shop and all our equipment that we moved there because we were done with picking, that all burned. So it's been a hassle for sure in that regard. But from a wine perspective, the fire didn't have much to do with it. The real story of the vintage was actually on Labor Day in 2017. It was obnoxiously hot. It was like 113 degrees.
That's insane.
And it wasn't just like a day. It was like 3 days. It was really hot for a long time. And the fruit was like just at veration, kind of like mid-veration, and it damaged a lot of the fruit. And since we did a spectacular job with 17, the Black Label getting 100 points, and many of the other wines scoring very high. The 17 vintage is one of my favorites of all time. It was hard fought. It wasn't like easy, and we've had easy vintages, but I think the easy things don't always make the best exciting results. The kid that's challenging or the vintage that has drama to it, there's something in those wines that from that. And that Labor Day heat sizzled and ruined probably like 40% of the fruit. And as farmer winemakers, it's the same hands that grow the grapes and make the wine. And so we made hard choices in the field to drop fruit on the ground, selecting just the fruit that was undamaged from the heat, that was shielded by the outside clusters. Like the outside clusters, let's say, would be like the front line of the battle, and they're killed. And like behind them, there's fresh soldiers. Yeah. And the fresh clusters behind that are what we harvested and made wine for. And since we're a grower and a winemaker, we had access to make that choice. If you're buying grapes from someone else, which is what, 95% of the Napa Valley does, then you have to convince your grower to drop all the raisins on the ground and pick you the nice clusters on the inside. And you either do that by being ridiculously charming, having a wonderful grower, or paying out the nose. And it's one of those three things, or all of them. And since we are the same people, we didn't have to like play any of those tricky games. Right. We get to just like do it and get on with it. And so economically, the 17 vintage was a train wreck because it was very expensive. The grapes were, if it cost us the same amount to farm, In fact, it cost us more because we had to go out and drop off all those grapes.
Right.
That it turned into little raisins. So there was extra pass of hands and labor and care. And then you have a much smaller yield. So the 17 Franc was would have been a small yielding vintage for us. The cost of those wines are higher than, let's say, the 16s or the 18s in terms of like what it cost to farm.
Yeah. There's questions. Will analogy go into any of the future club shipments? Yes. If you are part of our Winemaker Society, at some point you will get a bottle of analogy.
Really?
That's a simple answer.
Wow.
So for those of you who don't want to receive any Josephine, just want the red wines, we will give you analogy in that second, the fall shipment of this year. If you do opt in for Josephine, you will get the analogy this year, or this spring shipment.
Oh.
There's Winemakers Mixed Society, if you like reds and whites. Winemakers Red only, if you only drink red wine. So we just, to kind of give us a wine to just differentiate the packaging, we throw an analogy and Josephine into one and everything else into the other. So it's pretty much the same shipment, but
I have to say I love the simplicity of just making the wines and not having to deal with which members get what. It's crazy.
Well, everyone gets the same wines eventually within the same year, but to really just help the person has to proofread all of the.
It's tough.
I have to have one signature wine that one shipment gets in the fall versus the spring, so I know. Oh wait, that's going to the wrong shipment.
Crazy.
It's a silly but very simple way to cover our tracks.
Make sure it's perfect.
Yes. Yes. So let's see. I mean, I feel like we've talked about the analogy, and I think hopefully stirred some excitement to.
I'm super excited about it. It tastes fantastic.
And as some people pointed out, it's really opened up nicely. And we opened it an hour ago, but being in our glasses for the last 30 minutes, it's really opened up beautifully.
It wants a little air.
Yeah. I'm excited to try this in a year and 2 years. It's a special wine, and I guess before we wrap up, I wanted to just go over some housekeeping because we haven't done this in a while. It's been a little while. So a couple things. So it seems like a lot of you guys are club members that are watching. So just mark your calendars. Tomorrow, if you could just update any credit card or billing or shipping information. We are processing your club shipments on Monday, and they are shipping out if you are a ship member on the 9th. And if you are a pickup member, you can pick up as soon as March 5th. So that's just some quick housekeeping for membership. As we mentioned a couple of times, we're releasing the Josephine in March, the 2017 Cab Franc in April, and the 2020 Rosé in May.
It's exciting.
There's a lot coming up. In the meantime, just drink analogy to get through it because
it's pretty great.
That's a really good wine. We are open, as we mentioned in the very beginning, for outdoor tastings. So please come visit us. We've missed seeing people on the property. We went through two lockdowns, and it's weird not seeing anyone here. So it's nice to see some people trickling back in. So if you'd like to book a reservation with us, feel free to reach out to me, Peter. Tom will point you in the right direction, or just email concierge@trumbullwines.com. Anything else? We have another live tasting in April.
Do we?
We do.
It's good to know. I'm sure Carrie actually put this in my calendar.
We're tasting the full lineup of all the number wines.
Oh, that's right. You did something. Carrie did something to me. I feel like old man.
So that's coming up. So something to look forward to. Another Friday Eve.
So that's a whole bunch of wines.
Yes. Yeah, there will be.
Oh my gosh. That's gonna be
probably fun. 9 different wines between.
These are the different shipments.
Yes.
And we're gonna do them all in one tasting.
Why not?
Bam.
Mm-hmm.
Wham.
That's a fun day if you are working at the winery that day. Everyone's going home with.
That is exciting. That's really great. These are actually a great opportunity for us to get to check out the wines and see what they're doing. And it's fun to see what the analogy is doing. It's our new kid on the block. It's shredding. It's really good.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other questions? Can't wait to come see you. Can't wait for you to come see us in person. Other than that, on the events front, we don't really know what the rest of the year is going to look like. We don't want to make any promises, so just know that we are always thinking of ways to stay connected. And if ever you just want to call to say hi or shoot us an email, it's nice hearing from people that we haven't seen in a while. So don't be a stranger. And I guess it kind of concludes tasting.
Awesome.
Should we put on some
exit
music?
What do you want to exit to?
Oh, well, you start playing some U2, so
You want to keep going?
we can keep going.
Okay, I think
Any requests?
this is off U2's Another Time, Another Place, 1980. And I think that the best track on here is Out of Control.
Okay. Well, with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Enjoy what remains of your analogy, and if it's not long, well, it won't be long before we see you soon. We'll see you in April for another live tasting with our members. Stay healthy, stay happy, and stay well.
Cheers.
Thank you guys. Cheers. We tasted it a month ago. But you tasted it a month ago. Or 2 months ago. This one, I think, opened up really nicely.